Hi, this is Bruce Cheney. Thanks for joining me for this chat about emergency preparedness. This is going to be the first in a series of videos that we will be putting together for helping you to prepare for emergencies in your area. So this first video will just be talking about general ideas or general things that could happen in your area. And then we followed up by some other specific details about emergency preparedness in coming videos. So this first video, we'll talk about the types of disasters that we could expect in our area. Now, I live in Linden, Utah, and this is on the end of 2020. So we're going to talk about, most people know that 2020 was certainly a significant challenge for everyone. We had a pandemic and we had a variety of other things that happened that caused a lot of people stress. So the idea with these videos is that we would help you be more prepared so that those events are less stressful in your life. So the more you are prepared, the more you don't have to fear or be worried about these kinds of things. Certainly bad things can happen, but we can find ways to make those things better or easier for us. So that's what we're going to talk about with this series of videos. This first one, we'll talk about the types of challenges that we could expect in our area. If you're in another area, then you can certainly do the same thing for yours. Each different geography has different challenges that you could expect. Okay, so the exercise for us here, we'll go through ours. One of those we already mentioned was the pandemic. So a pandemic is something that can happen. We experience the challenges that go with that, with quarantine and all of those things. That's a challenge that affects everyone. It's a more rare one. I don't recall one being in history except maybe 100 years ago is the last time we can expect one of those, but who knows what the future will hold, so we should be prepared. Other ones that are likely for our area include earthquakes. In 2020, we had an earthquake in our area. Certainly not as significant as some areas, but there was damage in neighboring communities, not as much here. But it's one that we have to expect and be prepared for. Another one that we can expect for our area is drought. A drought is a much more common one we experience here. And we are having one in 2020 and into 2021. And that's one that causes regular challenges for us when we have a lack of water. Another one that we can have here is wildfire. And we did have wildfires in 2020 as well. In fact, we had those that came down right to the edge of our community. One that we should be prepared for. These are more common for us, especially as we live in a drier climate. Another one that we can expect in our area is civic unrest. And we did have a little bit of civic unrest in our area, nowhere near what other communities experienced. Another one that we can expect is financial crisis. That's one we also experienced in 2020 for many people, especially as a result of the circumstances around the pandemic. Another one that can happen in our area is severe storms. That's one probably we are more accustomed to having, like the wildfires or drought. We can have severe storms. We had one in neighboring communities this last year, especially northern Utah, that took out power for as much as a week. So that's certainly one we can expect. Another one that we can have here is floods. Floods often happen here in cycles, and they can follow periods of drought. So that's one that we should be aware of and be prepared for. Landslides can also happen here. Now, landslides we are most likely to happen after we've had a wildfire, as the slopes are without vegetation and then moisture hits those, then we're more likely to have those landslides happen, which we had in recent years, some as we've had fires in the past few years as well. So as we really look at this list, We experienced almost every one of these in the last year. And if it wasn't in the last year, we had them in the last 2 or 3 years. So emergency preparedness certainly is really important for us to consider and be taken care of in our homes. If it hasn't affected us otherwise, these things may affect us in the future. So let's talk about the 3 main steps about preparing for these, and we'll deal with these in more detail in coming weeks, in coming videos. So the first step is to build a kit. Now the kit is something to help you in an emergency, something you can grab and take with you to help you be more comfortable during those challenging times. Second one is making a plan, deciding how to handle these different events. And the third one is to be informed. So now, like I said before, we will cover all of these in more detail in coming videos and help you to be planning and preparing for these things. One of the things you can do is also submit questions. And if I don't know the answer, then I can ask others that may be more knowledgeable in some areas. But at least we can start having these discussions and preparing our community and preparing our families for things that we don't really want to have hurt us or damage our situations. So these things can really help if we're prepared.